The woman quietly sold cabbage in the village for 10 years. The villagers had no idea that she had 3 very impressive daughters-in-law. It wasn't until one day when several luxury cars surrounded her vegetable stall that the villagers discovered her true identity. It turned out that all 3 of her daughters-in-law were highly influential. Her eldest daughter-in-law was the daughter of the richest family, the Shin family, and was wealthy and powerful. Her second daughter-in-law was a top Hollywood celebrity. Her third daughter-in-law was not only the world kickboxing champion, but also the head of the largest martial arts school in the country. The woman secretly came to the countryside to sell vegetables, keeping it from her 3 daughters-in-law. She did this because this was her husband's hometown. She stayed here, hoping that her husband, who had been missing for 30 years, would return. The story begins 30 years ago. At that time, the woman's husband wanted to make more money. He entrusted his elderly parents to the woman to take care of, and then went to the city alone to make his fortune. To ease her husband's mind, the woman hid the fact that she had just become pregnant. As a result, after he left, he disappeared without a trace. 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. The woman worked hard to raise 3 sons. All 3 sons turned out to be very successful. The research they did together was noticed by the government. The 3 brothers were transferred to a secret base to conduct scientific experiments. Only the 3 daughters-in-law were left at home to care for their mother-in-law. The woman quietly came to the countryside to sell vegetables, waiting for her husband's return. One day, the village chief called the woman, saying that her husband had finally come back to find her. He asked her to hurry home and reunite with him. When the woman joyfully pushed open the door of the old house, ready for an emotional reunion with her husband, she was suddenly shoved away by a strange woman. The strange woman was her husband's mistress. In fact, her husband had betrayed her 30 years ago. He had come back to divorce the woman and marry the mistress. The woman never expected that after waiting 30 years for her husband and struggling to hold the family together, she would be betrayed by him in the end. The man felt no guilt because the mistress had already given him a child. She also gave him all of her assets to start a business. The mistress even mocks the fact that a woman can't help a man by selling vegetables for the rest of her life. The man despised the woman, seeing her as poor and shabby, and felt she no longer deserved to be his wife. He then took out $100,000 and threw it at the woman, demanding that she agree to a divorce. When the woman refused to be bribed, he lost his patience and called his bodyguards to force her to sign the divorce papers. The mistress arrogantly told the woman to recognize their differences. She said their illegitimate child was soon going to marry the second daughter of the richest Shin family, and that they would soon be in-laws with the richest family. But the mistress slapped the woman hard across the face, urging her to sign quickly, saying that if they were in a good mood, they might give her some money in consideration of the 30 years she had kept the family. She suddenly broke free and tore the divorce papers apart, then shouted at the man for his ingratitude. The mistress pointed at a photo of the woman and her 3 sons, accusing her of hiding 3 illegitimate children from the man. The woman explained that the 3 children were his, but the man refused to believe her. He grabbed the photo and slammed it on the ground, and the woman, furious, scolded him for being heartless, only to be dragged out by the man's bodyguards, and ultimately, she was thrown out of the house. Meanwhile, the 3 daughters-in-law were searching the village, going from house to house to find their mother-in-law, but the village was so large that they couldn't find her, and they were frantic, like ants on a hot pan, because the woman had been wronged. She quickly sent her location to the daughters-in-law so they could come pick her up. The daughters-in-law suspected something had happened to their mother-in-law, and immediately rushed over to seek justice for her.